Welcome to Prepping for the Studio. If you're a musician or musical artist that wants to learn more about what goes on, how to prepare, or how to make the most out of your studio session, you're in the right place. Hello, and welcome back to Prepping for the Studio, the podcast for musicians who want to learn more about the studio, what goes on, and how to get the most out of their time and money. I am Roy Silverstein, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brian Scheuble.
Hey there. It's hot out.
Always. I think we say that every time.
Yeah.
That's because we're in San Diego, and, it's warm or hot all the time, essentially.
Yep.
I mean, almost always.
We get the ocean breeze, though.
Yeah, there's some cooler times. But yeah, we are here today for another episode, and today we welcome Arielle. What is your last name, Arielle?
It's a secret.
Well, I met you on Instagram, I think because we both have an analog 2-inch machine from Mar Machines. And so
is yours 16?
Mine is a 16. Actually, it was a 24. I converted to 16.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's just how it worked out. But yeah, so I think maybe Mar Machines had posted something about you, and then I was like looking at your page, and I was like, oh, wow, Arielle has all this cool content about home recording versus studio recording. And because you're an engineer, you're an artist, what else are you?
A guitar player. I spent
Songwriter?
a long time. Songwriter. Yeah, I've built and designed guitars as well. I definitely say everything I do kind of comes thinking as an artist first, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But I love all the things.
Yeah. Well, let's zoom out for a second and talk about, how you got into recording and playing music and where you're from and kind of a little mini journey so people have some background about you.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in California, northern though,
Okay.
and just a little bit north of San Francisco. And my favorite band became Queen when I was 6. I just thought Queen was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. My parents were born in the 40s. I had older parents than all my friends, so I was listening to different things than they were. But Queen was not. They were a little bit too old for Queen, so I was lucky enough to have a babysitter that introduced me. When I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a guitar player. I saw Brian May, and I'm like, that's it. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Nice.
So that was my mission, just kind of learning about music and guitar. And so I graduated school early. I moved to LA and went to MI at 16.
Okay.
Just for guitar.
You knew what you wanted to do. Wow.
I did. Yeah. No, that video pretty much did it for me. And so, yeah, I went to MI and I started learning. They do give you the option of starting to engineer there. And that at the time was 2007. So I started engineering in 2007 at MI, which of course I was focusing on the guitar, but I also really enjoyed learning about Pro Tools and using their studio. And so at that point, I had actually the opportunity to meet Brian May. He had a book signing down the road at Book Soup on Sunset Boulevard. And
Nice.
he had just gotten his PhD in astrophysics. And I'm like, I'm going to go meet him. And we actually ended up becoming friends after that. And he invited me to the UK to play in his musical. So at 18 years old, I flew to England. I had never been there in my life and moved there by myself.
Whoa.
To play in a musical, in a Queen musical that they had there. I went to more music school there as well. And to trade for studio time, instead of paying for it, I was just engineering on a basic level. And then I would engineer and kind of edit stuff and tune things during the day. And then at night, I would go and use the studio when it wasn't being used at, 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. to about 6 a.m.
Right.
So engineering was always part of my life just because it was just so expensive. And so, yeah, I was touring most of the time, either as a guitar player for other people and then kind of doing my own thing. I was on the road with Eric Johnson for many years as a guitar player and opening act too, and doing, background vocals, keyboards. So most of my adult life was touring. Wow. And I'd have the odd chance of getting one time a year to do a record. And I remember it was always so stressful for me because it's hard to write when you're on the road and have the energy to be in that creative space. Mm-hmm. And I never had a huge budget. I always crowdfunded things. And so I'd have maybe 7 days max to do everything. And that always stressed me out. And it was so much pressure for this like week of my life
Right.
to make a record. And so at some point I was just like, I feel like my creativity is being stifled by this, especially during COVID. A lot of us, I think, had realizations about what we wanted or not wanted to do with our lives.
Right.
So I decided that I was going to make my own studio. I'd had them in the past. I'd worked at different people's studios, but I'd never really gone down the analog route. There were elements of outboard gear and maybe even consoles and things like that, but never going down the rabbit hole of restoring and tape machines and those kinds of things. So we had mentioned Chris Mara earlier.
Right.
He was a big part of that for me. My neighbor is Michael Wagner, and he's been a friend of mine for a long time. And I was lucky enough to have him help me design my place
Okay.
here. And so, yeah, I bought a very messed up old house and gutted the whole thing. And the whole house is a studio. I don't live here.
Oh, wow.
It's on a little farm just outside of Nashville now. And so it's called Analog Acres. And we, horses and chickens and turkey and dogs. And it's just a little baby farm with a lot of old crap in it. So that's the journey, really.
That's really awesome.
Is it Michael Wagner, the mixer, the heavy metal kind of guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's a mixer. He's also
Yep.
an incredible engineer.
I know Michael, yeah.
Yeah. He recently retired, but he's still my neighbor about 5 minutes from me.
That's awesome.
And yes, I attribute everything that I have done here in a positive sense. All the positive things were from him.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's rad. And didn't you like do some sort of collab with Brian May with a guitar or something? I saw that on your page.
Yeah. The guitar that I play, it's this funny looking thing. Is
People can't see it, but it's a really cool.
Oh, right.
I like
you
it.
can see
I
it.
think it's
It's
cool.
like a Firebird
Firebird.
looking.
Gibson.
It's got a lot of specs that are similar to a Firebird, but also a Brian May guitar. I was so inspired by him, and because I was going to MI, Musicians Institute is right off of Hollywood Boulevard, and in order to live anywhere near it, because parking is so horrible, you'd have to walk about a mile. And so, when you're a kid going to school, you think about, if you're lucky enough to be able to have multiple guitars, you have to think, okay, I have 7 different classes. I have country guitar, classical, sight reading, whatever. And what one guitar is going to do a good job for this? And I had such a hard time, just a basic thing, but teachers would make fun of me. They're like, you bring that to your country? I was like, well, or I'd bring an electric to my classical, because I couldn't, I didn't have a car or anything.
You're right. What you gonna do?
Yeah. So what I thought of was having a guitar that had a lot of the specs that I wanted out of 5 different guitars that I had. So that guitar was 5 different things, just in a simple sense. I kind of wanted to be like Brian May and have my own guitar. So I had a friend help me design it and build it when I was 16, right around the time of MI. And I met him at the Uli John Ross Sky Academy. He's an old guitar player of the Scorpions, original Scorpions guitar player. And so I met a guy there that made guitars, kind of bad looking ones, but I was like, hey, would you make one with me? And so when I was on the road with Eric, people would ask me, hey, what guitar do you play? And I had this funny looking thing. And I'm like, oh, it's just a guitar I built. And they'd be like, well, where can I buy one? I'm like, literally nowhere, because this is the only,
Right.
I have different versions of it because I was trying to make the design better. Like, well, I'd like to buy one. So I actually was having lunch with Brian May. I was touring in the UK, and we had lunch, and I was telling him this, and that I was trying to find a luthier that could help me. And I said, yeah, people are wanting the guitar. And he's like, well, why doesn't Brian May Guitars put them out? I was like, oh. And I try to be as chill as possible about that.
Sure.
Like, oh, that would be great. But inside, I'm like, what? This is the coolest thing that's ever happened. I mean,
Yeah.
Nuts. So it was actually his idea.
Okay.
And we spent years going through my guitar, and anything he didn't like about my guitar reverted back to the Brian May guitar.
Okay.
And so it's a hybrid, really, of his guitar and mine,
Gotcha.
which is very interesting. So they do exist if you look at Brian May, and then it's called the Arielle. The model is called the Arielle.
Okay.
You'll see it there. And then I also have the higher end models. They're significantly more expensive. They're handmade. I picked out all the wood. Brian May's luthier His name's Andy Guyton. He's a really great luthier. He does everything by hand. No CNC, nothing, even making the carbon fiber cases himself.
Whoa.
Out of the UK. They're called Guyton, Guyton guitars.
Okay.
And so I have versions of my guitar with him as well.
That's rad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Very impressive. You got involved in all this stuff at such a young age.
Thank you.
It's amazing. So getting back into the subject at hand, see, I guess part of the background is like, as a studio owner, this is something that's like always on my mind is like, I know that, you know, and I came up through home recording. Like I didn't actually work at studios or anything like that. I know Brian did, but like my journey was a little bit different. You know, I was just like, got into music with my friends and immediately like got into using a 4-track and got interested in all that and kind of just was like, yeah, this is cool. I'm going to do this. And obviously it, you know, snowballed into a rarefied recording where I'll do all my work now full time. But, you know, so as a studio owner, like I'm very aware that like there's obviously a lot of great home recording equipment now. And so, yeah, why wouldn't people want to just record at home? And how do we, as people who work for a living as engineers, audio professionals, how do we, I don't know, communicate that there still is a place for studios and there's a place for home recording too, and all of it can coexist. But I was trying to like talk about this kind of thing a couple of years ago on Instagram and paid ads and stuff like that, and felt like I couldn't really make my points very well because I don't know. People are always like, "Oh, you don't need all that stuff. Like, stuff's recorded, you know, and wherever now." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but
No rules.
but I think it's a big topic, really, and there is a lot to really parse out. I think between what can be done at home, what can be done in let's call it a pro studio, and when you might want to do one or the other, and so that's kind of the conversation I want to have with you today, since I know you've thought about it a lot too, and. So yeah, I don't know. I just maybe we start with home recording and what you see it as kind of best geared for, you know, and then we can go the reverse and talk about studio and what that is better for, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've spent a long time thinking about this, both as an artist and somebody who has paid a lot of money to hire people's studios and to hire people to produce me. And also as a studio owner, I can very much see both sides of this. The way that I always used home recording as someone who later on would hire a recording studio to improve those things, the approach I always had with it is I need to remember the ideas that I have, or I just want to hear it back. I want to hear, well, maybe the song will work, maybe it won't. Because I had such a limited budget, I wanted to make the most of whatever time I had at the studio. And I think the biggest piece that helps me when I write a song is just having some feedback, listening to it outside of my head, outside of me and a guitar playing it.
Right.
So I just make little demos to hear back, to send to people. Typically my demos, I learned very quickly to not build out my demos because I always got demoitis. I could never beat it. And I'd be so upset coming into the studio. And then on top of that, I'd give it to, say, a drummer, and there'd be programmed drums, and they would emulate it to a T. The bass part would be emulated, and it actually stifled the creativity by going too far at my home studio. So what I would do is I'd just make basic ideas of the song, acoustic guitar, vocals, nothing else, usually. And it would be, okay, structurally, I like where that is. I can have a skeleton of what I like. I can show it to the musicians so they're not just reading charts. And it's enough for them to be creative, but it's enough for me to decide whether I like the song. To me, that's what home recording is about. It's also about, for somebody maybe who isn't a professional, like me, a professional artist and also engineer, producer.
Yeah.
Not everybody needs a big recording studio. Some people just do their things from home. Maybe they do all their drum programming and like a lot of kind of techno dance music.
Sure.
They do not need to be going into the studio just so they can record their vocals. You know, I think there's a place to enjoy that. And I think the biggest thing, well, we could talk about the pros and cons of a studio, but because I'm teaching a lot of people at their homes, the students that I'm finding that want to record are people who do not intend to be a professional. They don't want to go in the studio if at all, but maybe like, just to experience it one time. People who are at home want to dabble in songwriting, have some ideas, build things up, and feel self-sufficient without actually going hardcore into the world that we live in. I think these are what most people are using home recording studios for. I know I've made full records at home and I've released them and I've charted on Billboard. I know it's totally possible because obviously it's happening all the time.
Right.
I've done it. It's just not the workflow that I like for the type of music that I do.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's what I think home recording is really good at, is getting an idea of where you're at creatively and something you can give to other people when you do go in the studio.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think there's a valid point of like some people just, I don't know, they're just kind of having fun with it, and maybe they're not, because I think I felt that way too. It's like, hey, I'm making music with my friends and we're having fun, and I'm not like taking this that seriously, so I'm not going to drop a bunch of money at a studio. I'm just going to do this for myself, and I'm having fun with it, and I'm okay with how it sounds. It's good enough for me, and cool, and that's valid. I think if anyone out there who's doing stuff and that's their feeling about it, or they just really are enjoying the process of learning how to do it themselves, then go for it. I mean,
totally.
Yeah. No qualms with that, because basically that's what I did.
There's different entry levels of how far you want to go, because being in a professional studio is very expensive. I mean, there's no studio in town under $650, $700 a day, and that's the lowest. That's not including other musicians.
Right.
Let's be real. How much can you actually do in a day without feeling so stressed out?
Right.
For a beginner who's never been in the studio, one day that's rough. That's a hard day.
It always takes longer than you think.
Right. So not everybody wants to drop, $3 or $4 or $5,000 in a very, best case scenario on something maybe they weren't even prepared for. So I think home recording is so accessible to people who, like you said, they just want to work on their their little 2-input interface and have a great time. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. No. That's how I started, just like you.
Yeah, totally. I think in some of your posts, you also talked about how the home environment is a very safe environment, right? Where you can explore a lot of ideas, the clock isn't running, and there can be some benefits to that when you want to kind of play around and try some things out, and you're still figuring out your song or what you want to do with it or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I think, your place looks beautiful.
Thank you.
And I can only imagine that when people walk into it, if you have the experience that I do, some people, especially if they've never been in a studio or don't have much experience performing, they get into a state of, okay, I'm performing now. This is like the real deal. I made it, and now I have to like show I can do it. Versus being at home and be like, this might work, this might not. So it takes a specific environment and mindset and person, in my opinion, to be able to be in a beautiful looking studio and not lose themselves in trying to prove themselves. But sometimes that environment really helps bring out the best in someone because they feel that pressure. It is that performing, going beyond what you think you're capable of, and then maybe surprising yourself. But yeah, having an environment at home, I talk about it often now as somebody who owns their own studio. Maybe you guys can relate to this, but it's a major double-edged sword. Because that moment of, okay, I'm paying a lot of money for this nice recording studio. This is my moment. I don't get, because my home recording studio is also the professional recording studio. So I don't have that edge that I used to have going into a studio.
Right.
And so if I approached this as a home recording studio, since it isn't a house and I own the house, the amount of discipline and structure regimen that you have to have in order to get anything done is very difficult. So, yes, you're more comfortable, you feel safe, but maybe too much so. So that's the double-edged sword with home recording.
Totally. Yeah. I think that was one of your other points in your post, was when you go to a studio, like, okay, you're kind of accountable to someone else and yourself in a way, because you're paying money, and it's like, if you're doing it at home, things can drag on and
Yeah.
a long time. I mean,
Yes.
I've seen that with clients that I've recorded, and then they were like, okay, we're going to mix this ourselves. And it's like, okay, cool. I give them all the tracks. I check in like every few months. Hey, how's the mixing going? They're still working on it. You know, like it takes a year or more for them to like mix their stuff because they're trying to do it themselves. And, you know, they don't have the expertise. They maybe are trying to carve out little bits of time here and there. So
replacing things.
yeah, they end up
Oh, that could be better.
right.
Yeah. Yes. It's a dangerous place to be without structure.
Yeah.
I guess why people hire personal trainers. Do you really need to watch me work out? Probably not. But you're making sure, one, I show up, and two, that I kick my own butt. Like, oh, this is heavy enough, you know, whatever. No,
Totally.
you can do heavier than that.
Yeah.
And that's really our job as professionals. Is we're just their personal trainer. We're their coach.
That's what I was going to say is the one thing that seems to be missing the most for me is a producer or a person who's kind of looking over everything to make sure it's moving in the right direction and not busting the vibe. Hopefully you have that person who's pretty cool. You know, that's where it comes to the band or whoever to pick the right person.
Yeah, very key to pick the right people to work with. But yeah, this is a big part of it is you can get lost as the artist that's also trying to be the engineer and trying to be the producer. That's a lot of hats to wear. So
I just posted about that today.
okay, yeah, tell us more. What were your thoughts?
Well, the main point that I made about it was, and I'm making a post about this now, not to speak about outside people, but truly myself. I can do stupidly large records because I can. I own the place. I'm, you know, the only people I'm paying are the musicians. But yeah, I have a hard time because if you're the producer, you're thinking about, this is generalized here, what shouldn't be there. And you get the overall idea. But when you're creating, you don't think about that. You just think like, well, I could have like this sick guitar part and then like a violin should absolutely be there. But then the producer is doing the exact opposite. Be like, actually, so it's kind of two sides and they're hard to interchange simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you do the one thing, you get it over with, and then you listen back the next day to everything you tracked, and you're like, I'm going to mute like 3/4 of everything I just did. And so yeah, doing that, I think, is a huge learning curve. And in order to listen to your own music objectively is also very difficult. So yeah, that is a real thing. I've got to be honest with you, I don't know many people who do it well. I'm working on it. I'm not exempt from this. I'm talking about myself.
Yeah,
I'm having a hard time
that
here.
You're in the middle of a new record right now, right? Aren't you inviting people to sort of follow along? As Analog Academy, is that what it's called?
Yeah. So
tell us about that.
People kept asking me about what I was doing. It's funny because some people say, well, I'm teaching people how to record from home. And some of my engineer friends, like, you're literally teaching yourself out of a job. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm actually helping the people who aren't clients. There are people who like what I do, but they want to learn themselves. These are not people who would have come here and now they're not because they're learning. That's not, I think that's a whole scarcity mindset. So I'm teaching people how to record at home and what they actually need and what they don't. And I teach from literally how to write a song to how to use Pro Tools, what you actually need, how to hire a band. And I'm showing them in real time. So I'm working up like a different camera angle, how I talk to people, how I go through songs, how I demo, what I actually do. And I don't edit it. I actually just hit record and then hope I don't do something stupid, which I thought about it, but when I thought about me going and editing these videos on top of making a record, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. So I'll just share it, and I tell people, don't do anything that you don't want to be filmed. Like, this is being filmed. Don't say anything. Don't it's just, I'm not editing it out. It's just not. It's going to be your own fault. So it's been great. People really have enjoyed it because I've opened up my place. I talk about things that scare me. I'm like, I'm about to do something I don't normally do. It's going to sound bad, but you're going to see the whole vision, and people have been really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think people would love to be the fly on the wall for this type of thing for sure. So where would they go if they want to be part of this?
If you check out my Instagram, it's official Arielle, Arielle. And the link is in the bio, or you can just type in, I think, Analog Academy in Google. It'll take you there. And I've got everything organized. I mean, there's hours of content, and every day I'm adding more. And I'm showing literally front to back. And then I do videos on specific things. If somebody says, hey, can you show me your mic placement? I'll put it on the calendar and I'll do a live call and show people I've got different camera angles. Hey, this is how I mic up my cabinets and why, and here's the speaker, and geek out. So it's small enough that I can customize classes, and then I save them and you can watch them later. So it's definitely fun. If you're a nerd or, like this kind of thing, it's fun.
Yeah. And, going back to like you're teaching yourself out of a job, I think for some people, they may, through this process, figure out that, oh, maybe this is more than I want to chew,
Yeah.
And now I've seen it and I understand what it takes, but I really just want to make music, man. And I think there's a lot of people out there like that, where they've convinced themselves that studios are too expensive. They've tried to do it themselves and they get really frustrated. And they're just like, man, I just want to make music. I just want to have a great recording. And they go through all this pain of trying to learn how to do this, and get, there are some things you have to buy, of course, too. But then there's this whole learning process, right? And it's not just learning how to use the tools; it's learning how to use them well. And so I think there's a little bit of a fallacy that some people fall into of like, I can't afford a studio, I'm going to do it myself. But then, like, if you go back and you think about how much time that you spent that you could have been doing something else.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, you could have been working on your music. You could have been writing songs, playing shows, working a job, making money, or whatever.
Yeah.
And instead you spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours trying to record something and you're not even happy with it.
So true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for somebody else to have had to spend and dedicate their whole life to something that maybe you wouldn't have wanted to do. And now maybe you're right. It's actually great. I was having this conversation yesterday with somebody, and the conversation was about touring, but it's equivalent to this, where you bring 5 people that are like students that talk about how, they love performing and they're artists, bring them on the road for 5 days and see the truth of what would happen. They'd probably quit. They probably would be like, I made it, like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
Because everything that we love, the learning curve, the cost in time, money, effort, compromise, sacrifice is not something everybody wants to do. So there is a major convenience in hiring somebody who has done that work for you at a little bit extra cost. But as you were saying, with the folks that were mixing on their own, maybe they're saving, a couple grand, but they're adding on another year.
Yeah.
So you're right. The more you show people what the world is like, maybe you get more jobs. I don't know.
Yeah. Just a thought.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there are so many people that that's the way I look at it. Like, if somebody wants to go in the recording studio, me teaching them how to record is not going to change their mind.
Yeah. Talking again about home studios, what kind of limitations do you face sometimes when you're recording at home?
Well, I could always hire my assistant. I often don't. I think that's my own problem. It's nothing to do with money. It's more like, I don't want to inconvenience her and just have her be me and her, like, weird. Like, it's my own whatever. So even though I could change it, it's typically just me. And it's really hard, as you guys know, I'm sure, to engineer. So to think about the technical aspects, which are quite enormous depending on what I'm tracking. If I'm tracking drums myself and the snare really bothers me, it's quite frustrating. My tracking room is downstairs. So I'm like adjusting a mic, and I'm working on an external screen so I can at least adjust and hit record on Pro Tools downstairs. But the limitations are, one, nobody's helping me both decide, is this a stupid idea or should I just play it out for 2 hours and see? And also the technical aspects where I have to be the engineer and then I switch to the creative person. I think those 2 issues are by far the most inconvenient and stifling as far as being creative. It takes me longer to get to the same place.
And now, a word from our sponsor, Rarefied Recording. Oh, that's me. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my studio, Rarefied Recording, and the services I offer there. The studio itself was built from the ground up, from the masterful plans of Mr. Wes Lachaux, so it sounds fantastic both in the control room and the live room. A 32-channel Neve Genesis console holds center court and is complemented by a wide array of outboard gear, instruments, and microphones. Your music will be in good company. If you live in the San Diego area, just head on over to rarefiedrecording.com to learn more and book a tour. If you aren't lucky enough to live in San Diego, you can also hear examples of my mixing work. That's RAREFIED recording.com. And now back to the episode. What about the rooms that you're working in? That's something that I've thought about, is like studios are built for sound, homes are built for living. Like there's sometimes an issue, right?
Yeah. There could be a lot of issues. If you have neighbors and they don't like your loud guitar or drumming for long periods of time, how's that going to work? Yeah, and you've got these beautiful rooms. Like I was just at, RCA, the big room, Studio A, and you just see it has, like, that room was built for what it does. It's so cool. Yeah. You can have a full-blown conversation while somebody across the room is playing drums, and you don't even hear it, really. The way that it's just treated and beautifully done. And there are many rooms like that in Nashville that have been around since the 70s and young and even older than that.
Right.
That have that. And houses typically, you get something cool. So it's a different vibe.
It can be. You can accidentally have some interesting acoustics,
Yeah. But as far as it being built for that, absolutely, that's something that you lose. And I think that because of a lot of the things that we do in the box, a lot of the built-in effects that we can have, I know there's those like gobos now with like microphones in them, so you can add reverb and make your room like sound 1 billion times bigger than it is. So we kind of emulate the things that we love about the big studios, like all these profiling amps and stuff. But I really think at the end of the day, if that's what you're looking for, just to go for that. Those rooms are built for that. No matter what you do, you probably don't have the budget. And if you do, you're doing it right, but don't have the budget or the time or the wherewithal to understand what a studio is, built for. We just kind of copy things and hope for the best, but it can't replicate it. I was at, I don't know if you guys know the studio, what's it called? Addiction Studios. It's right by Ocean Way. Okay. And they have cinder blocks going all the way up to the ceiling. I mean, it's got to be 25 feet tall.
Wow.
The cinder blocks. It's cinder blocked rooms, and all of them are. They were like rooms built within rooms. It's millions and millions of dollars to do something like that now, It's really cool. It's a special thing, and I think we forget the importance of the rooms because you don't need it, but there'll always be a place.
Is it true that Sound Kitchen was leveled?
I don't know.
I just heard about that. That's sad.
I know it's not there anymore, but I don't know if it was leveled.
Yeah. That's the last place I worked at in Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah, they've gotten rid of a lot of Music Row, of course, which is sad. But there are tons still of studios, and they're always booked. Every person I know who's got a studio is booked. So there's, these are
studios are not dead.
Rooms. They are not dead.
No.
All my engineer friends are worried about AI, and I tell them that's silly because have you heard AI? Like, it's AI. It's not great.
Right.
They're all worried about it, but I just say get better, be better than AI, and you're fine.
And I think people enjoy making music.
Exactly.
I don't think typing a prompt is going to have the same fulfillment as actually writing a song and going and recording it. I don't
exactly.
see it.
That's for like a consumer product or a project.
It's a nice gimmick.
Right. It's not. It hasn't happened to me, but there'll be people who I guess bring like Suno demos and then they want to emulate it.
Yes.
Structurally, literally, BPM, put the track in there as the reference track and then like unmute it and check it out for stuff, like all the parts, everything. I haven't experienced that, and if somebody asked me, I'd probably say no. But yeah, everybody's studios here are busy in town. So clearly, and I know I'm in Nashville, but you would think that maybe because there are so many, there would be a lot of competition, but no, everybody's full.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Obviously, the studio business has had to adapt a bit, I think, to the new reality of budgets and the fact that people can record at home. there's certain things that are more likely that you're going to want to record at a studio, right? Like we talked about drums or loud guitars, you know? So I think as a musician out there, maybe you're doing some stuff at home and then you're going to a studio to do the stuff that you really can't do so easily, or you don't have experience with, or it's just too loud, or, you know?
That's a great point. Obviously, there are rooms that are built just for string sections and full orchestras. And that's a specific room right there.
Yeah.
That most people can't accommodate that many people in one room and beautiful sounds and that many microphones and inputs. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah,
right
it's cheap to buy interface and one or two mics. It's a much different situation when you're buying a big interface and a lot of mics and a lot of mic pre's. You know, it starts to add up, and you need
it
space.
adds up quick.
Yeah.
When I have people in my my course, and they're like, "Oh, how many inputs do you have?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've got whatever 32 here, and then this many for my headphone system and whatever." And they'll be like, "Oh, what does that cost?" I'm like, "Oh, the interface is around $9,000. Like just for the interface, not your $200 Scarlett or whatever. This adds up quick." So that's a reality for a lot of people when they start like, I'm going to track drums. Okay. Are they going to be electronic, like triggered MIDI drums?
And you can go lo-fi. You can use one or two mics. But,
exactly.
You know, a lot of times it just needs more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got to think about your interface, and you've got to, all the microphones, the cables, like you said, the volume, which is the problem for most people.
Yeah.
Even professionals. I tell all my drummer friends, I'm like, come play drums as loud as you want anytime. I don't care. My neighbors, like, nobody cares. But even drummers, like, can't even practice at home, much less be recording for hours at a time.
Totally.
So yeah, the studios are built for that, and you don't have to be ashamed of how loud you are. And it's just a great environment. That's my favorite thing, is going to people's studios and seeing what they're doing, how they work, the kind of people that come. Because every studio has their different kind of, like, I tend to have a lot of women just because it's me running it. My assistants are usually women. We have a different vibe because of that. It's on a little farm. But then I'll go to another friend's studio in town and be like all the country bros with the mustaches and stuff. I'm like, oh, wow. And then they'll pick different things. It's so interesting. It's like its own little world, a little community world that only exists there. It's really cool. So it's my favorite thing.
Yeah. I mean, the sounds have gotten a little more homogenous, I think. It used to really be extreme, I think, with the East Coast sound, the West Coast sound. And now everyone has kind of the same stuff. But look, there still can be little variations depending on the place and the engineer and the people that are surrounding there. So that is cool.
Why do you think that is? Because we all have access to the music online? Like, what do you think it is?
Partially, and back in the day, they're literally custom consoles. There weren't products off the shelf. So things were just
the environment.
They were more unique. Every studio was built differently. I mean, and everyone now is in the box, and certain plugins are very popular, and everyone's using those plugins, or if they're using virtual instruments, and they're using the same virtual instrument. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I think I guess because most of the time I'm not in the box. I was like, why do you think? Oh yeah, duh. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like a grandpa.
Yeah, no, we're the same.
Living under a rock.
Yeah, I have a lot of outboard. I have a console. I actually mix on the console. Yeah, I'm kind of like you.
Yeah,
and we both have a Mar machine.
Yeah, and these are things, in my opinion, you cannot emulate. They very much have a sound. But I mean, the MCI, people give me crap for it all the time. It's actually kind of, it's crazy. But because I've got obviously the MCI Mar machine, but the console as well.
MCI console, cool.
Yeah, it's a 500 series, and it has such a neat sound. People give me crap for it all the time, so I always had it in the back of my head. It was what I could afford at the time, which was not much. And the more I restore it, and the more I hear it, and then work on other people's consoles, and get to hear their whatever the console sound, it's you really hear what the variables are.
Yeah.
Instead of working in the box, like you said, where maybe the only variable is your interface, which is negligible, and then your microphone, and obviously whoever is performing. Yeah. These are the only variables we have versus, the preamps in the console, or maybe whatever outboard gear you have if you have something neat or that you modded. But just the console itself has such a vibe that's hard to replicate. And I love that.
There's a lot of stuff in the console. It's not just the preamp. There's other stuff in the path, you know. So there's all these like points of coloration, especially in an older console like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you kind of stay true to whatever console you have and start to, you know, because I think a lot of outboard gear is obviously like, I know a lot of people with really nice consoles, but then they're just using outboard pre's instead of their console. Then, of course, you start to lose, which is fine. I mean, I do that sometimes too, but maybe things would be a little bit more unique if we kind of like leaned into what we have and the limitations of it versus the whole world is opened up. And even though I don't have an SSL console, I can still use like the G-Bus and the compressor, and then it still have those aspects of it, but also have my MCI. I'm kind of like, maybe if I just hard commit, like I've got a thing here.
Yeah. Which is cool. You start to develop your own sound and you know, you want people to start to attracted to that, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I saw you had another post about things that hold artists back. I thought that might be an interesting topic too. Like one of the things was needing a team. Like people think that, I need a team. And then so they never go anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
Tell us more about like these different things that were in that subject for you.
I'd have to think about it, write down what I think the biggest are, but off the top of my head, there's two major issues. And it's not just artists. I think it's any creative person who has an infinite amount of ideas and no idea how to take actionable steps in order to achieve them. I think it's never that an artist is out of ideas. It's typically they're not focused. So the things that, you know, make it difficult to be an artist, you're mentioning not having a team. But I think the first thing would be to be in a place where you're learning. I have artists come here all the time, and I haven't been like this very much, thankfully, because I've often been the worst in the room. But I think keeping your cup empty is really important, because I think a lot of times artists are put into a really great situation, or they're, you know, in a big town, somebody just moves to Nashville, and instead of coming here and opening themselves up to what they can bring to the table, what they can learn, I think there's this element of you need to be so strong in who you are and like own yourself and don't show weakness at all. And because of that, I think people become closed off to learning and closed off to maybe where there needs to be some improvement or some adjusting. That has been one of the biggest things I've seen artists be held back with. I see no weakness in asking questions and saying you don't know something. There have been times that I've been so frustrated. I'm sure, I mean, you guys have seen it, where you just see like, you have so much potential here, but if you would just like listen to what I'm saying as somebody who gains nothing from telling you this other than like, I've seen this before, I've done it, like we could do this better. I feel like cup being empty is like really hard for a creative person. And then focus and realizing that what we do still is a business. It's not sexy. It's not cute. It sucks because, of course, we just want to be creative people and have no connection to the business part at all.
Right.
But we still are creating a product, which is our music, or a brand, which is who we are, our band, our you know, artist name, whatever it is. And so then they're the creative person who's now broke, freaking out that they're broke, can't focus because they're broke, can't get a team because they have no money because they're broke.
Yeah.
It ends up being this vicious cycle of, I'm not going to sell out, man, but then they're not making money, so then it just, I think there needs to be an approach. I have no idea how to do this, although I've slowly been considering it, and the only thing I have is to show people, like, I'm your testimonial here of that you can be creative and you can be excited, and there's nothing ethically wrong with people paying for your work and you know, creating this as a business, focusing on that, because you have no team if you have no business, period, and no money because you can't pay your team. So I think those two things are, I see it over and over again. People have no idea how to run their business, which is their artistry. And nobody wants to say it because it's not cute. But
no, it's not the fun part for most people.
It's not.
You're lucky if it is fun, because then you can really make this your living probably. But for a lot of people, I think it's a struggle, you know. And
Stressful.
And, it's hard to get off the ground because hopefully if you do get the ship flying, then you're going to be able to afford to hire a marketing person or whatever you need, But getting that ship off the ground the plane off the ground rather it can be tricky. It can take a lot of effort.
You know what I've noticed though? It's not just our field though.
Oh no.
And there are obviously fields that are going to be a little bit easier to accept. Say like whatever the passing fads are, like if you sell, this is obscure, but like if you sell peptides right now, that's like the coolest thing, right? Oh, peptides. Hey, I'm selling peptides. You're going to get people screaming and like running at you, right? For now. But then you have the additional competition. And, there's everyone and their mother who is a musician who wants to be famous, who's moving to Nashville. Mm-hmm. And it's not the latest fad, really. It's not like there's huge fads, real estate, certain things that are going to be obvious to sell. But the truth is no matter what you do and whatever world you go into, it is equally as hard and equally as horrible. Mm-hmm. They're just different problems. But I've noticed like I'm into like real estate and flipping and stuff. I've flipped a bunch of homes. It's awful. Like, oh my gosh, but the problems are so much worse because if people don't show up or like, put the roof on wrong, then it's not just like I hired a guitar player and they suck, but it's like now the whole house is coming down and it's a $500,000 house.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's the same thing. It's just different problems. And that's what I try to tell people. It's the music business, man. Like, yeah, it sucks, but only because you have to be a little bit more creative. But the potential is there. And in some ways, I think it's an advantage because it's creative. You can stand out more than 10 different contractors because there's nothing creative there other than how they put down other people to say what they can offer. Well, we're family owned. They're not.
Right.
If you're an artist, you can say, well, she's got this like cool look. She looks like 70s and plays, you know what I mean? We do have an advantage because we can differentiate ourselves more. But we just want it to be like the music business sucks. All businesses suck. They do. It's just this is the one that we have chosen and or we can't do anything else because that's just what it is.
Yeah. People
But they all
are
suck.
compelled, to when they're really a musician, really an artist, it's like they're going to do it,
That's it. Like, doesn't
And
matter.
I've always seen that with people. It's just like, and myself even a little bit like, I'm just driven to do this. And you need to have that drive, I think, if you're really going to make a go at music, because if it's just if you think you're going to make a bunch of money and that's your motivation, go find some other kind of thing to make a bunch
absolutely.
of money.
It's like the bands that are doing the pictures and the videos first before the music.
Right. Yeah. No.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I've seen it, where they're like doing video. They're in here recording and I'm recording them or whatever. And they're just like, they've got a videographer and they're looking at the photos and
Oh, interesting.
it's like, guys, get the song right first. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do one step at a time.
Right.
Right. See, that's why you're there.
Well, I
You're
didn't.
grounding
That was
the
what
shit.
I was thinking.
Oh, you were thinking it?
I did. I was just
Didn't say
hired.
it.
I was
You didn't
hired
say it
to
out loud. Okay.
record.
Yeah. If you're hired to produce, you'd maybe get on them a little bit about that. But if you're just there as an engineer to record, then you have to be respectful
sure.
of what they want, I guess. Okay. Well, speaking about this, the music being first, you had some other posts about how do you know if a song is good enough to record or include on an album? I thought that was an interesting subject too.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? How you describe that, someone who's not a professional. What I say to people is play it for others. If you're in a town and you're not surrounded by incredible, talented music, I'm lucky, and you guys have a major city near you, and I'm sure a pretty good music industry in your town. I do too, but some people, of course, aren't that lucky. So I always say, show your friends and your family first, and or people who are going to be honest with you, not just like, that sounds great. Like, no, I mean, like, be honest here. It's very humbling and it's scary to have somebody rip apart your creativity. That's not fun, but get some feedback, and they might not even know how to describe what's wrong. Be like, well, I kind of got bored after the like 2 minutes. And then be like, okay, maybe my verses aren't strong enough. You can kind of translate what they're saying. And if you are fortunate enough, and that's why, I have the community that I do, because we do have professionals or something, have a community maybe online of people that you can trust that are professionals, or surround yourself with people who are better than you and you trust their judgment. Be like, I would work on this. That's how I've done it. I've done it long enough to know what's professional and what's not now. But the only way I learned that was by surrounding myself with professionals who told me it wasn't good enough. And you need to know that. We want to know. And sometimes you put it out anyway because that's what you have. Because that, again, the double-edged sword is if you have something and you're like, well, that's not good enough. Well, that's not either. Well, then you have literally nothing. So part of it is also putting it out. And then maybe 3 months later, you'd be like, oof, now I can hear maybe what I would have done right. But that's because you grew by putting that out. So you do the best you can with where you're at. And knowing, what your limitations are and knowing that by you putting that out, it's actually going to evolve you maybe another 3 or 4 steps, then that's worth putting out. But I think if you make somebody feel good, if you don't lose interest, the 3-minute song, if you have professional sounding, decent sounding stuff, a good mix, the bar's kind of low. The bar's on the ground. It's probably good. And then just keep working to make it better. Work with people who are better than you. That's the best way. Co-writing with somebody better than you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I like the point about sometimes you do just got to put something out. Because I've seen too many times artists work on something and then they just shelve it. And then they think they're going to come back to it. They never come back to it. It's just, and then it kind of stifles someone. It's like, oh, I have all these songs. I'll get emails sometimes from people who are like, I got 100 songs. It's like, you're never going to get through 100 songs. Let's do one and put it out and then do the next one. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Bite-sized things to approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the perfectionism thing can make you do nothing. What do they call it? Analysis paralysis.
Right.
You can analyze it to the point of doing nothing. And we don't want that. Like you said, just pick one. If it's not the best thing you've ever done, it's okay.
Yeah.
The next one's going to be better because you did this.
You'll improve as you go. And you put it out there, you get some feedback, you have some time to think about it. And then, now we go to the next one and we'll try to do it even better.
Yeah. And like, what part of the world does that not translate to? Like, in what thing can I do it one time and I'm perfect at it?
Right. Nothing.
Like we all, in every aspect of our life, if you go to the gym one time, you're like, yep, I'm buff. I'm ripped.
Look at my guns.
Not reality. I don't know why we think that way in creativity, but it's not. You just have to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more experiences you have in studio or at home doing it yourself, whatever it is, the better, you'll grow from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And well, stay on the subject for a second. You're doing a record right now. So how many songs did you write? Did you write exactly the number you needed, or did you write a whole bunch more? Or?
I wrote a whole bunch more. I wrote about 40.
Wow, yeah.
And again, insane / have the luxury to do it, but I'm recording 25.
Okay.
But I demoed 40.
Yeah,
I wrote 40, demoed 40. I actually wrote more than that. 40 was what I kept from the demos.
Okay.
There are maybe another 10 that I said, no way.
Mm-hmm. I think this is part of it too, is write more, because the more you have, the more you can call from, and
that changed everything. This was the first time I ever wrote that many. I've always been, like on the road in my hotel room looking at the song lists that I have. And I'm like going through demos, going through stuff. I'm like, I literally don't have enough songs. I need another 4 and I have to record in 2 weeks. I mean, this was what happened to me all the time. So yes, write a lot more than you think you need, because the more that it's actually funny because they all came from like a 3-month span, maybe 2-month span. And then I wrote another one and I threw it in there because it kind of fit along the lines of the theme that I had. But keep writing and don't put expectations on any one song, any one writing session. And they'll come up, and it was a great problem to have. And I recorded this and had people, help me pick which songs. And I did all of it live in my group. And I'm like, I told them why I wouldn't want certain songs, or like how certain songs sounded like the other one. Like, I need to pick one of these two. These two are pretty much the same song.
Yeah.
Same BPM, same key. Like, there needs to be one of these. It was a great problem to have. So I'd say if you get the luxury of doing it, definitely write a lot more than you need.
Yeah. And then you can find the ones that fit together too.
Yeah.
That's another option. I mean,
but that's not
you can
usually
throw
how
some
it
out,
goes.
but It's not,
exactly. I have people come in, they're like, I wrote this one 10 years ago. I'm like, you're 25. When did, what do you mean? And they're like, well, yeah, I wrote this 10 years ago. I'm like, but haven't we written like more since then? They're like, well, yeah, but you know, I think people don't understand too, what we were talking about earlier about the gym. Like you need to keep writing to get better.
Yeah.
We don't just write a song one time and think that's fine and then record that one just because we wrote it. We need options. You know, we need instrumentals, we need whatever we have. It just keep recording, keep writing.
Yeah, unless you're Fiona Apple.
Oh, why is that?
Oh man,
yeah, why is that?
Her first song was huge. She wrote those songs when she was a little girl.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
that's funny.
Yeah, and then her second record, it's that thing of you have a huge first record, and then your second record is your sophomore record, and you can't write. You're just like, I can't do anything like that. I wrote those songs when I was little, and I lived with them forever. You know,
right.
So they've been developed.
Yeah. She's the exception, I'd say.
Yeah, there's always an exception.
Right. I'd say
but
sometimes
those
songs.
Around.
Yeah,
she learned to write more songs.
Oh yeah. She killed it.
Yeah. Okay. And your record right now, you talked about this in your post. You're batching. Is that what you're calling it? Batching a record versus doing one song at a time, is that kind of something to think about?
Yeah. I try to break apart everything as I'm thinking about it, and so I was talking about batching, like
meaning having record all the drums for every song in one go, kind of.
Well, I actually tracked 21 drums and bass. I've got, the most incredible players. They can do eight or nine a day. I mean, more than that, but it takes me a while to set stuff up. Yeah, they could do a heck of a lot more than that if I, weren't such a perfectionist engineering. But I listened back to it and I was like, you know what? I think I kept 4 of them. Okay. And I just find that for this particular record, I really want to push myself production-wise and engineering-wise. Like I think certain songs I'm going to do individually. I have a couple that are like a bit 80s, like programmy drum sounding, which I don't mind doing individually because they don't need a live drummer. They don't need a live band sound. But I think for the most part, I'll do batches of, this is a kind of Americana-y sound of the drums that I'm looking for, kind of more organic vibe versus a big rock song. If there's a bigger rock song, I want the drums to sound bigger room kind of vibe. Then I batch those in those sections. And it could even be 2 or 3. And I tried to do that when I recorded it the first time, but I could have kept it and it'd be fine. But I think because I wanted to bring people along with me, because I even had the thought I can do it better, I'm now making smaller batches so I can hyper focus on the specific songs and make them right versus one at a time and or doing them all at once, which would have been my previous take. Doing all of them.
All the drums for every song. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I totally agree. It's like certain songs are going to have a similar drum sound, let's say if we're talking about drums. Yeah. And other ones are going to be different. And so you can have a little bit of a problem if you're like, we're going to do all the drums for all the songs. And then you realize later, it's like, I wish we had recorded the drums differently for these songs. Right. But we didn't. So we're just going to have to make do. Right. But if you think about that ahead of time, you can kind of batch in groups, if you will. And that it does save you some time and money, right? If you're going to a studio to batch some stuff up, that's kind of the point, as opposed to doing every single song. We're going to do one song a day or something like that, which is really fun. I love working that way because you're just so hyper-focused and you get this immediate, like, cool, we came in with nothing and now we have a full song. Like, that's super inspiring and awesome. But it's not the most economical because then you come back a week later, you got to start over with a new drum setup and blah, blah, blah. Right? Yeah,
I've thought a lot about this. Because I consider doing it one at a time since, again, I can. I can't as far as my drummers are always on the road. And I was like, well, I'll play drums on it. I'm like, oh, great. Now I have to do all this myself. Then it's even more. Yeah, that's going to work for me. So yeah, I'm going to do a few like that just to kind of demonstrate how that works. Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think the smaller 3 or 4 songs at a time batches are the way to go for this particular record, just because they're kind of various levels of old, like, 90s or like late 80s bigger drum sound to kind of small, kind of like Cream, late 60s vibes to, and you just can't fake that after the fact. I mean, you can, but I think it's you have to kind of do it at the beginning, because all the tracks are then going to be, EQ'd and adjusted for whatever's there. So then you have to change everything. It's really annoying. So I was like, well, I'm going to do that. So if I had the luxury, I'd do them one at a time.
Yeah, I guess, that makes sense. If money's no object and time's no object, then one at a time, it's fun. And you can really hyper-focus on each one and get each one exactly what it needs. But I think, the compromise is find the songs that make sense to record, together and do that. And I think that's a good advice for people out there. Did you agree, Brian?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I came up in the days when there's big budgets, and we would generally, if you got 3 a day, and that's a full tracking band, you're doing really well. But we would take time to get the snare, make sure it's the right snare for the vocalist, make sure the kick is right. If it were a slower tempo, we'd say, hey, let's put the drums in the vocal booth. Let's not use the big room. Let's use a smaller, tighter sound. So we would spend time. So we'd take 6 to 10 days doing drums with the band. So you would get keyboard, bass, possibly maybe a guitar. But that's how we would track. You'd be in the room for 6 weeks. But that was with big budgets,
Right.
But getting 3 a day was like, Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's a better result, to be honest.
It's pretty cool. Plus, you have a good group of collaboration going on between the band, which is obviously a marriage, so sometimes that can get funky. But you have an engineer, then you have a producer, usually, that's overseeing everything. I love that. I miss that. But it also costs money.
Yeah, budgets have gotten a bit tight for spending that much time, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's totally possible to get multiple songs, basic tracks, multiple songs done in a day. So it's still doable, but maybe just a little bit different in terms of number of people involved.
I think now if I do a band like that's usually we try to go for 5 songs a day.
5 songs, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're about out of time. I really appreciate you coming on here, Arielle. And if people want to find you, again, remind us on Instagram. I know we're official Arielle. That's right.
Yeah. Just because
Hey.
I do the one name thing, I had to assert my dominance and be the official one.
And it's spelled Arielle.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any other places where you want to send people?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to YouTube as well. It's the same thing, youtube.com/official Arielle. You can do that too. Anywhere. I mean, Facebook as well. So just find the official one. That one's me.
Official. Yeah, not the fake.
Not the fake one, the official one. I do own the trademark.
Nice. Okay. Well, thanks again. And I wish you great success with Analog Academy and your new record and everything else you're going on with your studio and your life.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Nice meeting you.
And thanks to everyone listening out there. We'll catch you on the next one.
Oh, I'm waving, but bye.
Oh, yeah.
Bye. That's our show for today, folks. Thanks so much for listening to Prepping for the Studio. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to your podcast from. And don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends. Episode info and my ebook, A Musician's Guide to the Recording Studio, are available at preppingforthestudio.com. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out there. Prepping for the Studio was recorded and edited at Rarefied Recording by me, Roy Silverstein. Theme music written by myself and Arielle Levine. Performed and recorded by Arielle Levine. Many thanks to my co-host Brian Scheuble and you. Best of luck to you and your musical endeavors. And remember, as Alexander Graham Bell once said, before anything else, preparation is the key to success. We'll see you next time.